Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Those of you who are on the call today, Sunday, May 7th, 2023, and those of you who will be watching at a future time. But we trust and know that there is no time or space in spiritual understanding. So I'm continuing my series on the 12 powers. This month is power, which kind of gets awkward saying power of power, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So for those of you who are new to Unity or new to the 12 powers, let me just give you a quick overview. So we can call them powers or faculties or attributes or divine gifts, any or all of the above. These were created by our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, draws on a lot of universal principles. So we have done the first four, and now being in the fifth month, we are doing power. So what does this mean for us? One of the things that Charles says in his book, Atom Smashing Power of Mind, is God has given all things to us to use as we determine, to destroy, or to construct. And this is one of the areas where sometimes I think that the Bible's been misinterpreted. That when in Genesis it says that humans were given dominion over all the birds and the fish and the animals and the plants and all of nature, that it didn't mean that we were to use it in a destructive way, but that we were to be more mindful and be good stewards. And I think that some of our challenges right now have come out of that misunderstanding or misinterpretation. My opinion only, but that's one of the things that I'm acutely aware of right now. So let's do a little overview about what is power. Power is the vital energy seated in the hollow of the throat at the root of the tongue. It's released by speaking positive, powerful words of truth. So it's right in here. Interesting point. Your faith is here, your love is here, your power is in the middle. So when your intellect and your heart are in alignment, your power comes more forceful. When your faith and your love are in alignment, that too brings an extra level of energy. Philip, the disciple who represents power, became noted for his ability to spread the message of truth to his speech. If you know anything about history, you'll know that purple is the most difficult dye to make. It's the most expensive as a result. And that's why you will see a lot of purple in today's slides, and I am wearing purple. Power is closely aligned with the divine principles of faith and strength. Faith is absolutely necessary for the release of spiritual power. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? That if you don't have faith, you don't have anything else. It's just kind of outer worldly there. Power and strength are also related and may be confused if not properly understood. Strength is endurance, stability and stamina. And power is the vital energy that enables one to accomplish, to follow through. So once again, I'm going to go back to my favorite little manual and talk a bit about what does this mean? What is this faculty? What is this divine gift? Just as electrical energy is generated when you turn on a switch, you are a conductor of spiritual energy or vital power. And that's kind of an awesome thought, really, that we're not just passive, that we are actually not only a conduit, but we are that final involvement in how things happen. And I'll start by reminding all of us, including myself, that we all have free access to God, that all of these spiritual principles don't require you to be a minister or a licensed Unity teacher like myself or anything. Everyone is equally able to tap into these principles. It's just a question of how much you want to and to what degree you're willing to engage with these principles, engage with these ideas, let go of things that are no longer serving. So the first suggested step, and I've said it before, please don't think of these as steps like this. It's more like a cha-cha. You might go up, you might go down, you might land in the middle for a little while, and then something happens, you come back a little bit, but then you might have an insight and you go, right up to the top. I tend to lie right in the middle. The 4 or 5, somewhere in there is usually my place. It means as I see it at least, that I have room for growth forwards and backwards, that I have that landing space if something pushes me backwards, and I have the capacity to move forwards. So control, I actually personally would have labeled this self-control, because what we're talking about is exercising control over yourself, being in control of what you think and feel, being able to, be in command of yourself, being in a space where, you're not just knee-jerk reaction whenever something happens, but rather you're being proactive, you're being mindful, you're in that space of being able to take a breath before you say something or before you lash out or whatever, and just to be in that space of who am I, where am I, what is mine to do, and what's my next step? Because that's really what underlies all of this. And from divine mind, we inherit the power over the forces of our minds. It's already there. That capacity to not lash out is already there. It's in our minds. We just have to remind ourselves of it. I was talking with someone earlier about, how frustrating it can be being around people who tend to lash out very quickly. And, how we both appreciated our spiritual understanding and that it helped us to take that breath, to breathe, to count to 3, to run that thought that we were about to say through our filters to make sure that it wasn't going to come back to bite us later, and to perhaps find a way to rephrase something, to be more compassionate, to be more loving, and to be more in alignment with who we truly are at the core of our being. The second suggested step is poise. This is where we have control. This is where, as I just said, we have that capacity to take that breath, to look at what's in front of us and say, I can choose to react, or I can choose to be calm and find a way to deal with it. And sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes there is too much cake on this plate. I need to ask for an extra fork to share it with the person I'm eating with. That idea, that capacity to make choices. From our co-founder, Myrtle, we aren't concerned about the results or outcomes, but the change in consciousness that makes the results abiding. The idea that whatever we're doing, however small it may seem in the grand picture of things, that every step that we take, every time we make a decision, that we are enhancing not only our consciousness, but the consciousness of the world, because we are all one. We are all linked at a universal level. Our third, accord. When you have established control and poise and are in accord with divine ideas, you are ready for the further quickening of this spiritual activity. This is like the big yes, the big, I want this. I can see that this is something that's beneficial to me. I know that it's my divine inheritance, that it's already there within me. I just have to be willing to say yes and allow it to move through me. Time spent communing with God gives me clarity. If the word God triggers you, guess what? In Unity, you can use any other word you want. You can use spirit, you can use universe, you can use grandmother, you can use great spirit, you can use whatever term suits you for that divinity, that eternal, universal understanding that we have of something greater than ourselves. But the idea here is about getting clarity, that if you've ever seen, somebody not set up their fireworks correctly for a holiday and it blows off in all directions, that's not what we want. We want the clarity of, have I put this into the sand correctly? Is the tail correctly set so that when I light it, I can step back in times before it launches? This is the same kind of thing of taking that time to work with and to commune with and to be in alignment with. It can be difficult to be in aligning and communing at all times, 24/7. And those times that we do take and we do pause and we do say, I am listening, I am here. What is mine to do? What is my next best step? That underpins that power, because otherwise it's like that firecracker just going off in all directions. I remember seeing a pinwheel firecracker that came loose and just spun around and sent everybody diving for cover. This is about taking that power and using it to focus ourselves and to focus whatever it is that is our current intention. And it may be that that power leads us to a space where we discover that the intention isn't exactly what we wanted. But we get that clarity as we work through, as we move through these stages of gaining greater access and familiarity with our spiritual gift. Endowment. So this is when you really begin to realize that you're feeling it. It's not so human anymore. It's taken on that spiritual aspect. And that it gives you this opportunity and this feeling of strength and ability to cope with whatever's happening. This joy, this energy, this opportunity to take this energy and share it, not for personal gain, but rather to be that cup that is overflowing to the world. That we inspire and uplift others through my thoughtful words and gestures. That we can be that common space for people. You know, I love it when I'm around some of my very closest friends, the ones that I know I don't have to put a mask on. I know I can say what kind of day I've had with absolute truth, absolute swear words, and they know what I'm talking about. And one might say, well, that's not very spiritual. Yes, and I so appreciate that they're in their spiritual space, holding space for me while I'm not in mine, and that they can provide me with that ability to get through that passage, through that challenge, through that whatever it is, and to be there for me and hold that vision as I go through my stuff. And in turn, as I learn and become more in line with my own personal power, my own spiritual power, I too can be there for someone else and hold that space and light the path and say, all is going to be well. Not sure quite how it's going to look, but I am confident that we can get through this. And, you know, come, let's go have some tea and let's just get it all out and allow that forgiveness work, that release work to happen. The next suggestion is power. This is when you're in a space where your default is more towards this place than your human results. This is where you're aware of yourself. You have a sense of what your purpose is, what your presence is, and you move towards that. As Charles said in the 12 powers, power swings opens all the doors of mind and body. This is the opportunity to have this ongoing energy coming in and through and as you. And this is the time to really begin to work on and be in alignment with your times for rest, your time for prayer, meditation, walks in nature, especially now that the temperature is rising. This opportunity to replenish yourself so that you're not serving from an empty cup. That's a really important spiritual principle in our human world. Is we're so intent on giving that we forget that we need to receive as well. Dominion. This is where you are beginning to command every situation. This is where you are in a place where this guidance is there, The awareness is there. You are so clear about what your next best step is. And sometimes your next best step is to stay still and rest. Sometimes your next best step isn't a step at all, but it's a time to take in and rejuvenate and rest and restore yourself. So please be mindful of that, it doesn't have to all be active. When we talk about energy, it doesn't have to be energy going out. We need, as I said just a moment ago, we need to replenish ourselves. We need to bring back into ourselves that energy, that restorative energy. Claiming dominion, I am calm and confident. This is the opportunity that we have to be in that space, we don't know necessarily how we know, but we know things are going to be okay. We know that, that perhaps we overslept, but we're confident that we will still get to where we need to be on time, or that we can call the person, say, apologies, I'm running late, and they might be upset with us, but we can be in the calm of, we're doing what we need to do to be in that space, to be in that calm, knowing that everything's going to work out. I remember last Sunday, I was heading I was going to go to the church, and I'd never been there before. Depending on my GPS, it took me a little longer to pack up my car than I expected. And I looked at the GPS and it said I was going to be late. And I just thought, okay, how do I do this? And I didn't speed, for starters. I just affirmed that I would get there in good time and all would be well. Oh, somehow I managed without speeding to pick up 3 minutes. I think what happened was the GPS had taken me a different route than I actually took. And there we are, all was well. And I came into the place not, with anxiety that I was running late or anything, but just in a state of calm that I had arrived. I was ready. I had my talk notes, and it was wonderful. It was an opportunity to prove to myself that I could do it. It's been 3 years since I've done an in-person talk, and just having that place of saying, I know I can do this. I've done this before. I've seen other people who have done this same thing, and I don't see any difference in our education, our experience, or our knowledge. So therefore, I can do this. Being calm and confident. We don't have to be like a rocket ship and blast off. There can be power, extreme power, in that calm, in that confidence. The final step is called mastery. And as with the other powers that we've already discussed, this is the one that I don't think I've ever hit. And if I have, it's been for a very short moment. But this is the point where you are the spiritual faculty. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to read about it. You just are it. And it just comes so naturally because it is second nature, because it is that divine faculty expressing in, as, and through you. So that's the overview. That gives us the power to create my world, our world, that opportunity to just be a part of the process. And it doesn't matter how large or small, because we're not looking at that. That's not the important part. The important part is, to what degree are you engaged with this? To what degree are you willing to say, okay, I'm going to allow my human self to just kind of go have a nap someplace and allow my spiritual self to lead me through and set the path, knowing the bigger picture is there in divinity. My human eyes and self can't imagine it. But I know that at some level, I'm tapping into something that is so much greater than myself that I can't even begin to express it. I can't even begin to envision it. And that's okay. It's kind of a similar thing. I've been listening to some podcasts from NASA about the history of NASA and about space exploration. And I realize that my brain kind of feels the same way when I'm thinking about deep spiritual things or when I'm trying to envision what the universe looks like, what the galaxy looks like. And it feels the same because it's so large. So I can either, compress myself and say, oh, it's too big, or I can say, I may be a mustard seed in this universe, but I am a mustard seed which is going to be planted and bear great fruit. I am a mustard seed that looks tiny but has this great capacity to bloom and flourish and to be there for something else. So here are our 7 statements again, in case anybody missed one while I was talking earlier. And just move, as I say, do a cha-cha. I'm usually somewhere between 3 and 5. I kind of resonate between those. Sometimes I get up to 6. There are some things that I can be very confident about, and other things that, oh boy, just to be in control of myself and have my emotions and my thinking in a right and perfect place is about all I can do. And that's perfectly fine. We're here to grow, to unfold, to learn, and to share that learning with others. And as we prepare for our time of meditation now, I'm going to start with our affirmations for the month of May. So I'll invite you just to get comfortable, however you are, whether you're sitting or standing or lying down or reclining. Just take a few deep breaths, finding the space within yourself where you feel that connection, where you feel that resonant divine power within you, where you feel the oneness, where you feel the connection. Our affirmation for inner peace. Centered in God, I am secure and peaceful. Centered in God, I am secure and peaceful. Our affirmation for wisdom. Within the silence of prayer, I gain a clear sense of direction. Within the silence of prayer, I gain a clear sense of direction. Our affirmation for life. By the power of divine life, I thrive. By the power of divine life, I thrive. Our affirmation for prosperity. I welcome every blessing in a spirit of gratitude and generosity. I welcome every blessing in a spirit of gratitude and generosity. And our affirmation for faith. My eyes can see the beautiful potential within and all around me. My eyes can see the beautiful potential within and all around me. And as we continue in this time of rest and restoration, we take into our minds and hearts the power of my thoughts and words moves me ever closer to the truth of my being. And we just take a few moments to breathe these words in. To allow the question to rise, what is the truth of my being? And in the silence, to await the answer. And in this awareness, we surround this world, those we know close and those who we have not met, with love and light, prosperity, wholeness, health, and well-being. We see our earth being surrounded in peace, in love. And we know that as we gain greater understanding of who we truly are, we bring that consciousness to this world. And we are a blessing to this world. We bring into our hearts and minds those for whom we have a prayer intention. We use the word intention to acknowledge that all is well. There is no separation, and that truly everyone is capable of tapping into their own divinity and finding the answers they seek. So our intention becomes holding to that truth for another. Gently, to hold like a candle, to light the way. And we give thanks for all of the staff, all of the silent unities around the world who ensure that prayer is held 24/7. And for this time together, for this opportunity to come together in community, regardless of time or space, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. Realized I haven't shared this particular screen before. If you go to our website at unityhaltonpeel.ca and you go to the resources and drop that menu down and you go to the 12 powers, you can get the booklet that I have been basing my Sunday talks on. I personally find it's a great resource. It did come out in 2010, so there is some language that has been updated since. And I go to it. I actually have two copies, one on the first floor of my house and one on the second, so I can always find it. As always, our prayer chaplains are available and will hold your prayer intention for 30 days and then send it to Silent Unity. And you can email praywithdiane@gmail.com. For those of you on the call as we're recording, if you want to go into a breakout room with Diane, I'm happy to facilitate that. As always, thank you in advance for your financial gifts. As you can see on the screen, there are many ways to share your gift with us. And we thank you. And let us all just take a moment to bless the gifts that we have, the gifts that are coming to us, the gifts that we have already received, and the gifts that we have shared with others, knowing that we are part of the channel, that we are capable of blessing the world in unseen ways and seen ways, and that all is truly well, and that we are so blessed. And so it is. As always, if you're new here or just seeing us for the first time, please join up with our newsletter. And this month's receiver of our tithe is Eden Food for Change. And we are blessed to support and assist their work. And at this point, I will cease the recording. Thank you for all of you who are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook. We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you. Please check us out. We'd love to have you join us on a future call. Until next time, blessings.